All right, so there's been some confusion. Public Service Union says statement by Acting Public Service and Administration Minister Thulas Nxesi on the implementation of a final wage offer has actually been misleading. Unions have announced that the national shutdown next Tuesday will go ahead, vowing to bring public services to a halt. They have resorted to their initial offer or demand of a 10% increase. Let's speak to Sizwe Pamla. He is the spokesperson of Cosatu on a national level. Mr. Pamla, thank you very much for your time. So we saw a statement in media reports that a 7.5% wage offer has been put on the table by government. Are you saying that the minister lied or misled the public?
Indeed, that's what we are saying. There is no 7.5% of that was presented. The reality is that when negotiations started late last year, you will remember that public servants were being paid 1,000 rand stipend. This stipend is non-pensionable, and this stipend did not impact on the baseline variations in terms of salary scales. So what then happened on the 1st of April was that government said, look, we are going to continue to pay the stipend to workers while we are trying to conclude wage negotiations. Then government presented a 3% offer. The unions rejected it. And government then took a decision that they were going to unilaterally implement this 3%. But what they've been trying to do over the last couple of days, couple of weeks in fact, is a lame attempted propaganda by going back to say, according to their own calculations, the 1,000 rand stipend that they've been paying amounts to 4.5%. Combining it with the 3% that they put on the table at PSCPC, it means that they are paying workers 7.5%. It's just a cheap attempted propaganda. Not only are they treating their own members like glorified slaves, but they are assuming that their own members are idiots who will not see through the farce, where they are being told that their increase amounts to 7.5% when they are really being given 3%.
And in terms of this 3% offer that the unions have rejected and has prompted you to go back now to the initial demand of a 2-digit salary increase, has government, tried to talk to you ever since, especially last week, with some unions already embarking on that strike that particular day and blocking the highway? Have they tried to, reach out to unions with a new offer?
No, since the collapse of the conciliation process, there's no new offer. So what they are intending to do is implement the 3% offer that they had initially withdrawn it. If you remember, before the midterm budget policy statement, they said they were withdrawing the 3% off. They came back late after the midterm budget policy statement after their maneuverings and then said, let's go through a conciliation process. Of course, in the conciliation process, they didn't offer anything new. As a result, unions received a certificate of non-resolution, meaning that the negotiations have collapsed. So there's issues there now. Government is threatening to go ahead to implement the 3%, but as they've been trying to do, they're trying to confuse workers to say, oh, by the way, the 1,000 you've been earning, which is a stipend, not an increase, according to our calculations, that is 4.5%. So you can sit comfortably at home knowing that we have paid you 7.5%, which is really an insult to these workers. But we also know what they are trying to do. They are trying to demobilize these workers by sending confusing messages in the build-up to the 22nd of November national shutdown.
And Mr. Pamla, in terms of next week, Tuesday, right, let's just talk to the viewers who might be watching right now, just to inform them on what exactly, in terms of services that they expect will be affected. Because I assume that because a couple of days have gone by, more unions will join the PSA now, and, the numbers will possibly balloon. Are we expecting, for instance, your police, your teachers, your doctors and nurses to join the strike? Are we expecting that, for instance, matric exams are likely to be more affected than they already have been?
No, if you look at the education sector, we don't intend to disrupt the education sector. The majority of our members in the education sector made it very clear that they remain unhappy about the offer, but they believe that it should be accepted by their respective unions. So the education sector is unlikely to be affected because we also have an appreciation of what the matric exams mean for the working class. At the same time, in the health sector, of course, we expect some workers to participate. There is no minimum service level agreement that was signed in the health sector. So what we expect is that unions will make arrangements with the employer to make sure that the strategic and vital sectors of the health sector are not affected. For example, emergency parts and maternity wards will not be affected. But at the same time, we intend to mobilize and pull as many workers as possible from the health sector. This applies also to the South African Police Service. They are regarded as a special service. It means that all of the considerations will have to be made to make sure that no laws are violated, that those who are expected to be at work, they honor that obligation, but at the same time, we mobilize as many workers as possible in those sectors to take those.
And some workers would say, well, listen, in some instances, we might be told that work, no pay, etc., and therefore it's not fair that some of us go on the strike and others don't, and then that's when intimidation starts to creep in.
Look, our unions, we have a trust in our unions, but remember also, we're not just talking about the strike, we're talking about public service workers, we are talking about Cosatu and Thulas. We trust that all of our unions are experienced enough to know how to deal with the issues of intimidation. For an example, this message that was been sent out, it's disappointing that some media houses decided to take a government propaganda and put it as news. This is something that we hope people will really be cautious of going forward. Look, it is an attempt to demobilize workers, but government is really playing a dangerous game. This is self-sabotage because you can see unions are playing a long game. They are being very patient. What we are going to see is that for the next 15 months, the public service is going to be unstable. We are not sure whether government is aware of what are the consequences of an unstable public service. But we do hope that sanity will prevail at some point, that people will realize that the economy they are trying to resuscitate cannot afford a full-blown public service strike. But also, the majority of people who are dependent on government for their services will not tolerate a situation where there's an implosion of public service. So, as we continue to support our respective unions to mobilize for this action, we are still reiterating our call. Those who are entrusted with the responsibility of providing leadership. They actually provide the leadership that is difficult.